Jason, first of all, welcome to the new season. Your first as a manager at the league, of course. How much are you looking forward to it now? Lots of changes, of course, over the summer, a short preparation time, but how much are you now relishing what's ahead over these next 8 months or so?
If the last couple of weeks is anything to go by, Kris, then really looking forward to it. I think we've had a good couple of weeks training. Been really pleased with the pre-season games and the performances in those games. And, if that's anything to go by, then, I feel we're in a good place.
Did those performances, particularly the West Ham one, just sort of settle you down a bit in your mind? Because you never quite know, do you? Everything you put on the training ground. I know it's only small steps, but you never quite know until the players actually get out there how it's all going to fit together.
No, of course. But, looking at the West Ham performance and all the things that we had worked on, the last couple of weeks in training, the things that we had asked of the players to deliver, they certainly did that. So, that gave us great confidence. And as I say, even this week in training, the lads have been in really good spirits, trained really hard, and I feel we're in a good place. And, which makes you really look forward to the coming season.
You're going into a different division, of course, and one that's known for its physical demands with the high turnover of fixtures as well. Have you had to do anything, particularly with that in mind over these last few weeks? I know players traditionally get run into the ground in pre-season, but probably you haven't had the time, have you, necessarily to do all of those things?
We haven't. Obviously, with what's going on in the world currently with obviously COVID and, the extended season last year and, such a short turnaround between the end of last season and then coming back for the start of this season. So you can only do what you can do. You haven't got that 6 or 7 week window to sort of almost tick every box, if you like. Then you have to prioritise things. But we know what's ahead. We know it's going to be a grueling season in terms of when you look at the amount of fixtures you've got to sort of fit into such a short time span. The most important thing is that physically you're ready and you're able to do that. And secondly, the squad's going to play a huge part. And that's not just 11, 12, 13, 14 players. When you've got a fixture list like we have ahead of us, you're going to need every single member of your squad, and they're going to need to be ready at any moment to come and deliver the performance that's going to be needed.
What have you learned about yourself already in these first few weeks as a manager?
Obviously, you have to manage your time. I think that is probably the biggest thing, because there's a lot of people want your time. You have to make sure that you prioritise the right things. Ultimately, I know you're going to get judged on results and performances. So, that becomes one of the most top priorities, making sure the team's prepared in the right way. But, you also have to manage people, manage players, manage staff, and try to get the best out of everyone. So, I think that's probably been the biggest thing I've noticed in terms of using that time wisely and managing people.
How is the new coaching unit of yourself, and I'm talking sort of the top three, if you like, yourself and Perchie and Graham Jones, how have you gelled together as a unit already so far?
Really good. Obviously, I've known Perchie a long time. Kris, as you know, we was teammates, we're good friends. And Perchie's a great coach, great manner, very well respected. So, thoroughly deserves his position. He certainly earned that, and bringing in Graham Jones with the wealth of experience that he's got behind him and the experiences that he's had at different sort of levels, so to speak. He's been a coach, he's been assistant manager, he's been a manager, he's been in the Championship, Premier League, and he's prepared sort of one of the best teams for World Cup finals. So, to have that experience and to add that to myself and Perchie has been obviously a great help as well.
What are the biggest demands of the Championship in terms of the way it differs from the Premier League? I've spoken already about the high frequency of games. What does that demand of your players, and what else particularly does this division demand of your players that they'll need to get used to pretty quickly?
Well, I think that is the biggest difference, because the high frequency of games. In some sense, you got no time to switch off or no time to rest. You finish one game and then you pretty much roll in straight into another game. So that is obviously going to be a lot different to what the guys have been used to the last 5 years, as obviously the Premier League is not like that. And secondly, it's a real mental mental challenge, and I think you need to be mentally ready. You need to be you need to be able to cope mentally to deal with that. You could be sort of, as we know, with the way even the fixtures are working out. For example, away to Middlesbrough probably, and then possibly away to Man City, and then home to Norwich, and things like that. There's a lot of travelling involved. You need to be mentally tough, mentally strong, but ultimately you need to look after your body physically. So it's getting that balance right, that to make sure that we're fully prepared for the demands that we're going to face. And it's, to some of these players, it's something they've experienced before, obviously, with the time that we was in the Championship. So hopefully, they can be a good influence in the change room, and the lads that haven't experienced that before, they could be almost a helping guidance for them players.
People always expect, of course, the teams that come down to be strong in the Championship. What expectation or pressure, whichever word you want to use, do you feel is on your side going into this year, and where do you feel that expectation or pressure is coming from?
Well, the expectation of myself and the expectation of the football club and the group should be the same. We want to get promoted, and not going to hide away or shy away from that. That's what we want to achieve, and that's our aim. And it doesn't mean that we was in the Premier League for 5 years. We're going to come into the Championship, which is a tough league, and then expect to be, right up there, sort of in the top two from the first 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to have to earn that. We're going to have to earn our place. We're going to have to earn it with how hard we work, and the performances we deliver is going to need to be, at the top level. We're capable of doing it. We've got some very talented, very good players, but as I say, hard work beats talent every day of the week. So, you need both. We first and foremost, Kris, we need to make sure that, mentally we're right, and we're ready to put in a real physical shift. And I think if we do that with the talent we've got, then we give ourselves a really good chance.
Leadership-wise, you've lost the likes of Simon Francis and Andrew Sermon and Aaron Ramsdale, who've become a leader, and Nathan Ake. Who are you looking to in your dressing room? Obviously, you've still got the likes of Steve Cook, but who are you looking to maybe as the younger players to take on some of those leadership roles this season?
All of them, because at different stages of this season coming up, they're all going to have to stand up at some stage and be counted and be a voice. Encouraging a voice every day on the training ground. Regardless of experience or regardless of age, if someone's not putting their weight in any specific way, they need to be told. And it don't always have to come from myself or the coaching staff. We want to give that responsibility to the players to be able to feel that they can. They want to demand the best from themselves, and they should want to demand the best from their teammates, because ultimately that's how we're going to be successful as a group. So I'm not just looking at any one or two individuals. I'm looking for the group to sort of come together as one and to lead by example as a team.
The dressing room obviously has seen a few of the big players go. That's been no surprise to anybody. Have you had to sort of reassure some of the players that are around still that you haven't brought anybody in yet, and quite a few have gone? Has that needed any sort of reassurance to the guys to say, we're doing things in the background, things will happen, and we want to keep the top players?
Listen, one of the early meetings I had with the group, I said some players will leave, but we will be looking to bring players in, and that's not changed. I think any team that gets relegated from the Premier League, because you are going to lose some of your players. The majority of the time, they're some of your better players, which is understandable. One, they've got aspirations to play at the highest level possible, and if they've got opportunities to do that and play in the Premier League, and the financials all match up with the football club, then we don't want to stand in anyone's way. But at the same time, I'm sure the guys sit in the change room, and certainly from what I've seen from the performances they've shown in the pre-season games and how they've been in training, I'm sure they're looking at that in the same way as what I am. They're looking around and seeing good players. They're looking around and seeing the amount of quality that's within the group. I don't think they're looking at it and thinking, we ain't really got too many good players, we're in a little bit of trouble. I think it's probably quite the opposite. And I think the West Ham performance probably reinforced that. Obviously, no David Brooks, no Lloyd Kelly. the goalkeepers away on international duty. So to go and deliver that performance against what was a really strong West Ham side, I think obviously gave them that confidence if they was looking for that in the first place.
Last couple from me, Jace. How is recruitment going? Obviously, you haven't managed to get anyone through the door yet. How have things been going in the background, and how close do you feel to adding to your squad?
Yeah, want to add to the squad. I think, touching on it, this is probably the most demanding championship season ever because it's a lot shorter than what it normally is. So the demand and the demand of the games, you're going to need a good squad. You're going to need to be called upon players at any moment. So we do need to bring in a couple of bodies and a couple of players. But it's always important that the players that we do bring in, we feel are players that are going to enhance the group and make the squad better. And and that's where obviously it becomes a little bit more difficult. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more patient with the business that you do, and that's where we are, and that's what we've done. We've identified the players that we feel will enhance the group, and now it's a matter of time. Now it's a matter of just trying to get them deals done and pushed over the line. But there's so many players out there, Kris, especially at this time, that's available. I don't think there's any need really to panic just yet. We're happy with the squad that we've currently got, and if we can add to it with the right players, and only the right players, then we'll do so at the right time.
Just the last one then on who's available this weekend. There was a report out last night to say that Joshua King has been nursing a bit of a knock and he's still in Norway. Can you update us on that? And also on Jordan Archer and Mark Pugh, who obviously been training with you and featured in the game last week.
Yeah, Josh King, I spoke to Kingy. Obviously, he's been away on international duty, so I've been in regular contact with Josh. He had the 2 games. Obviously, he was on the bench for his last game, sort of carrying a little knock. And I spoke to him afterwards and just felt, seeing as he wasn't really going to be available for this weekend, it was best that he just sort of had a little bit of treatment there where he was. He's got a sort of a young family that's there, and then Kingy will be back here next week. As for Jordan Archer, he played in the game against West Ham. He come in and trained for a week and played in that game. Obviously, Asmir and Travs was on international duty, so we were short on keepers. So that was for the goalkeeping department to have a look at. He done well in the game, but he hasn't been training with us this week. And Mark Pugh, club legend, spoke to Pewey. Obviously, he's without a club at the minute, and I was delighted to be able to get Pewey in to train. Great influence around the guys. Coming against West Ham, does what Pewey does, never lets you down, delivered a decent performance when he come on, and that's a situation that's just being monitored as we go along.
So realistically, is Mark Pugh just training for it works out for everybody, or is there a view potentially that he could be a player for you in the future?
No, the agreement we had was he was coming in. Listen, the agreement we had was that it works for us, it works for Pewey. And that's a situation that the longer he's here, at the same time, like anything, you're assessing him like you're assessing all your players, and that's just where we are at the minute. And during the next couple of weeks, me and Pewey will be sitting down sort of more than once, having a coffee and discussing sort of things moving forward.